My timing's fine. My teacher wants me to use the metronome. That's fine. I got this. Yeah, I'll go fast. I can do this. This metronome is stupid. It's not working right. No, I can play better than this. It's the metronome's fault.
Hey everyone, Jim here. Welcome to Grassroots Piano. Yeah, that was a dramatization. One of the reasons we have a hard time with the metronome, we're not using it correctly and we're not simplifying things. And every musician will tell you a metronome is super helpful with internalization and pacing. And after you get used to the metronome, it can really open up many different doors from understanding rhythmic independence, metric modulation. But this is a video for newer learners, and I'm going to break it down how you can slowly set yourself up for success when working with the metronome. Well, who invented the metronome? It was back in like 1815. Check out these guys. You can read about it. Pretty in-depth stuff. And rumor has it maybe Beethoven was part of helping of the invention of the metronome. I wouldn't be surprised. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the metronomes you might want to use, and there is a heap load of them in regards to apps and all that, so we're just going to take some quick field trips, if you will. The first thing I want to talk about is if you're using a digital keyboard like me, a lot of them have metronomes built in, but to save cost, I'm noticing a lot of companies now, you have to work through the screen and do all this crazy stuff. And I'm not kidding. I could bring a keyboard home from my school where it's the same model of this keyboard, but it's a newer one, and they took the metronome interface off the keyboard. Yeah, I'm getting intense about this. I really like having access to things that I need right away. So what I want to just show you, if you're using a electric keyboard or a digital piano and you're going to get a metronome, just make sure you have the metronome app. So for instance, this one, we have the metronome right there, so it's easy access. Super important. Unless if you want to go through the manual and read and take a bunch of time where you could spend practicing. That's your choice. All right, the next field trip is to the App Store. And the App Store is pretty easy to locate a metronome. A lot of them are free. I would start off simple because you can do deep dives and spend a lot of time doing this too, but you just want something to help you internalize and get some sort of groove. The other thing is when you check out a metronome, make sure you like the sound because it can get really annoying fast. So the high pitch beep sound, I don't encourage. You're probably not going to want to practice with it. So that's that. All right, so let's go to the App Store. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so we're at the App Store. Click search metronome. You might want to type in metronome free. I'm going to say, let's see, metronome by Tiny something. You can read some reviews. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to download this one, not just because it has 40K reviews, but it's simple. You can always go back and get another metronome with all the other bells and whistles if you want. So while that's downloading, we'll use this in the lesson. Wait a second. Double click, there we go. While that's downloading, we will check it out in a little bit. One of the things I wanted to mention is, it's already done, this is exciting. All right. Proceed to settings, reduce ads, you don't want to see ads. So ads are all about ways to make money. Often when it's a free app, you will have to deal with ads. In this case, the lower the number, the slower it will be. And this is very intuitive. Plus means you're going to go faster. We're going to talk about ways to access the metronome and exercise when we get to the keyboard. So this interface is super easy. And let's see if we can start it. Has a nice little click, and it's just like the ones that the old guys back in the 1800s invented, because you have this going back and forth. You can probably stop it, and let's see if we can slide it. Yeah, this is cool. For anyone that's above age 40, we had these in music class. The other thing I want to see is I'm going to go to, all right, so they have sound here. That's what you're going to want to do. Voice, let's see. That, okay. What voice? One. That's not going to work for me, so we could have fun with this. That'll be another video. But the wood sound is what I like. Let's see how it sounds. And then we have the time signature here. You can keep it in 4/4. A lot of my students are working on 4/4. You can explore the basics, But the other app, the old school one that I actually like to use quite often, is just an old school digital tuner. Old school because it's been around for decades now. This is a Korg tuner and metronome. So if you play guitar or whatever, you can use it for that too. This one you have headphones, battery powered. I do this, I mix it up because sometimes I just don't want to have my phone near me for many reasons. What's great about this one is you can go ahead and have this set up with the click in one ear. You can go ahead and tap the beat right here, and that's another really good feature, which we're going to get into in the lesson, where you can tap a beat so you can figure out the pulse. So let's say you can play whatever you're doing, exercise song, at this tempo. So that's showing you at 88 beats. This does have that high pitch one, which might not be fun. But we have choices. We got lots of choices, people. And I could even go on. There's one where you can wear on your wrist, vibration. I'm not into that. It doesn't work for me, but it might work for you. There's a lot of videos on that. We have on here is we have the built-in metronome, where some of my students actually have a fancy different metronomes with drum tracks and all that. More power to you. A little jealous. Then you have your phone, which I use at times, and then the old one. I mix it up for many reasons. I also am not always at the piano, and I have this in my work bag, and sometimes if I'm conducting, I use stuff like this. If you download this on your phone, you could probably be fine, but some users say if you don't have Wi-Fi, it might be tricky. So keep all those in mind. Get something that's simple that you like. Now let's go over the lessons where I'm going to show you different ways to start working with the metronome. There's more than one way, but the biggest thing I have seen is learners are definitely taking what they know and using the metronome, and it's really tricky. You got to start off simple. If you haven't talked or if you haven't had a lesson yet or a teacher or learnings about the click and the rhythm, you're going to run into some problems. All right, so let's go to some of my secret tips. The secret tip kind of is slow everything down, make it easy. For ease of access, I'm going to use my metronome on my keyboard here, and I'm thinking BPM is beats per minute, 70 beats per minute, so it's like a very slow walking. We're just going to try to match the tempo. Some teachers actually will have students stand up and they'll kind of walk to the beat and get a steady pulse. So you can learn how the sound works, and so you can start internalizing. All right, here I am. Again, I'm going to be giving newer learner tips, and then I might throw some advanced tips in a little later, but my goal right now is more of the newer learner, because if you don't learn how to use the metronome correctly, then there's a lot of skills you won't be able to grow from, especially internalization. All right, here we go. 70 beats per minute, also known as BPM, and I'm going to just do something simple like the 5-finger C position, and I'm going to just try to match the click. 3, 4, and... And you can do that a bunch of times, and the benefits are it's going to hold you accountable so you're not slowing down or speeding up, and you're looking for a clean sound. Something that's so simple where you're just going to do it for maybe 30 seconds or a bit more, whatever, but something just so you can start getting used to the click. Now what we're going to do is add some durations to it. I would start off with maybe whole notes and then halves and quarters, but to save time in the video, I'll start off with quarters and then I'm going to do eighth notes. And one of the other tricks you can do when you're doing this is try to count the rhythms out loud. So try to feel the rhythms before playing them, and we call that subdividing. Hey, could you hit the like button? It helps out. Thanks. And our metronome is here to keep us accountable. The speed, the pace is going to stay even, whether we like it or not. And what I would do is, if you're new to the metronome, if you get a little frustrated, I'll just back off and then come back to it. So we'll do the duration stuff, and then I'll do a lesson adding chords with the metronome and all that stuff. All right, here we go. I'll stay at 70 beats for now, and I'm going to do quarters and then eighths and possibly triplets and sixteenths, and then I'll tell you how to just think about one of the durations to work on. We'll do the same thing, the 5-finger C position, quarters. So I'll play that a bunch of times, And as I'm playing the quarter notes, I'm thinking eighth note, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4. If I feel comfortable, 2, 3. I might add triplets. And that will be definitely tricky if you're brand new at this because the triplet has that odd number, so it's not going to always line up with the beat. So you can just do a little bit. You could practice triplet 2, triplet 2. And you're already getting skill. You're understanding how this duration works within the beat, which is so important and applicable because you're going to do this whether you're going to start improvising, playing songs, pieces. And now I'll try 16ths. Before I just go into and play it, I'm going to count and I'm going to subdivide, then play. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a. And so forth. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. What the metronome is doing is holding you accountable and seeing if you understand how to get the durations in the beat. Now, if you are brand new to this and you're going to try 16ths here, that probably is going to get ugly. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E. And it's going to be too messy. So a few things you can do, just slow it down and just count it. Just 1 E and a, 2 E and a. And that's why we say 16th notes aren't fast. They're a shorter sound, which is really important. All right, so when we work on this, you can try this with scales. You can do it. You can do it with arpeggios. The list goes on. Just make sure when you sit down with the metronome, you're just going to give yourself a little warm-up time. C major. I'll do the eighth notes here. And then you can try it with half notes. You can mix it up or just go in the rhythmic duration order. I call it the rhythm tree. Whole, half, quarter, eighth, 16ths. So right now what we're doing is we're giving kind of a duration lesson with the metronome because the metronome is the beat and then it's how we flow with the metronome. All right, so as a recap, you want to make sure that when you're doing this, you are starting off simple. You're understanding that you're matching the beat. Okay, and for those, I'll throw in a quick little tidbit. Those who are, let's say, a little more advanced with the metronome, I'm going to slow this down, but we're going to think of this on 2 and 4. So we got 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a side tip because I know I have a few different level learners on this channel, but right there I had the click just on 2 and 4. So I had to geek out a little bit. That will come, that will take some time. All right, so what I want to do now is just work with a basic chord. I had a student who was trying just the C chord and then to the G chord, and I had a fast switch to it. And they had a hard time getting there. So the metronome can act as a guide and clean things up by going slower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go faster, and I'm just going to go to quarter note equals 90 for now. And I'm going to add in the chord here, but whole notes. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch my hand. 3, 4. And. You see what I did there? The metronome gave me the pace, and I was able to move. The hand before playing to the beat. So it was 1, 2, and then move the hand. We don't want that sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And I was using the pedal. But you cannot use the pedal first. You're just getting that hand position shape. Super important. You could try it again, but now let's add another dead line to it. Let's add in half notes. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And 2. So what we're doing is we're requiring us to dial in the pulse, but also train our hands and our brains to move faster. And ways to do that is different games from different durations. All right, so now let's say you just can't play this exercise at, where were we? We're at 94. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go to here, excuse me. We're at 94. We're having a hard time to do this. 1, 2. It's kind of sloppy, but we're getting our fingers to move. We're waking ourselves up. But it's a little hesitant. 1. Some of the traditional teachers aren't going to like this, but I've tried this on many students. It's a lot of fun. So that's a bit tricky. So what we're going to do is kind of like change our brain in perspective land. I'm actually going to even go faster. And yeah, kind of against the rules. If you can't play it slow, don't play it faster. But what I'm going to do is provide a reason why I'm doing this in a second. So now we're doing this, and it's just like, it's super sloppy. It's like mind-blowing. I can't do it. We just shift our brains. So now I'm going to go to the original tempo, which was 94. It's slower. Oh, it's not supersonic speed. I'm getting a little better. So that is like teacher advised, but the reason I came up with that idea is it gave students the psychological enlightenment, if you will, where I changed the tempo and it got faster. So when we went back to the original tempo, it wasn't that bad. So a lot of this can be so psychological. That beep, you know, that deadline of getting there, and if we're not playing well, we get frustrated and all that. But remember, any good musician will tell you, you have to sound bad, you have to suck, you have to fail. That's just the process. So that little trick was sometimes speed it up a little bit to see if you can do it, but then go back to the original tempo. My days and my training, it was like 1 to 2 increments, little by little, and weeks go by, months go by, and you can also bump it up slow like that, especially if it's technical. All right, let's go to a chord progression, and I'm going to go, I'll keep it there, and we're going to do this as a chord. We're going to play A minor, and we're going to F, and then we'll do C and G. So we're just going to do a 4/4 time. 1, 2, to F. And once we can get that really well, we're not thinking about it, then we might add in some of the rhythms. But before doing that, notice with that rhythm we gave ourselves a little time. We went 1, 2, half note, F, C, G. And that metronome was providing the timing for us and the deadline. You can try that in different tempos, but once you get that down, think of like a different pattern, and you can add in, you could just do 1, 4, 4, 4, 4. Here's the left hand. The longer you can play with the click and give a few different rhythm ideas, and you can start off just simple and just 1 or 2, that means you're building what I call tempo endurance, which you need, and you're able to flow. If you're tripping over yourself, which is fine, then a few things you want to do. Simplify it, go slower, and just come back to it at one beat at a time, 1 chord at a time. All right, so in a nutshell, we reviewed the pulse. It helps give you a clean sound. It gives you accountability. It can help you track your practicing. I posted something on Facebook not too long ago, a piece that I was playing, and I said tempo's at 86 beats per minute. And a lot of people are like, why are you always giving us the tempo? And I'm like, well, because I'm a nerd. I'm always pacing myself, and I want to see my goals at 180 or whatever it is. But it's a really important skill to work on internalization, because you know, if the music is blasting and pumping, the feet are tapping, that means you have that inner pulse, that inner drive that we all strive for. And you can do it, and make sure that you slow things down, because the benefits of the metronome is clean playing, accountability, and just keep at it. Little dosages. If you rule out this metronome thing and rhythm, your music might always be choppy, and we want to avoid choppy. All right, so if you want some other thoughts and insights, I have some videos up here that YouTube's suggesting. You can check it out. But as always, I wish all of you well, and see you soon. Bye-bye.